kindergarten, we're gonna learn about a couple of more advanced paper techniques so that we can finish off our Kevin Cole inspired sculptures. One of the first things I'm going to teach you how to do is something I like to call the spring. You can kind of see it right here on this finished sculpture, where you are going to need 2 strips that are the same size. So having something out of the bag I gave you would be perfect for this. I gave you a bunch of different colored paper construction strips. If you don't have that, you can just simply cut your own. But I'm gonna move my sculpture off to the side to show you how to do this really quickly, because the easiest way to do this, I find, is to take 2 different colors or patterns, and you're gonna make what looks kind of like the letter L. And you can use just a tiny dot of glue, and I do mean just a dot, not a lot, to kind of hold this together. And you'll notice the pink strip is over top of my blue strip. So I'm gonna grab my blue strip and bring it all the way down and fold it over the pink strip and crease it. Meanwhile, I'm keeping this paper on the table. That way I don't get confused. Then I'm gonna make the pink come back all the way over on top of the blue. I'm not meeting the end to end, because all that's gonna do is make a loop. I'm bringing it completely over, and I'm just gonna keep doing that back and forth. So the pink comes back over the blue goes back over the pink. Pink over blue, blue over pink, pink over blue. And meanwhile, notice I'm keeping one hand on this so it doesn't pop up and come apart. So I can keep building up these layers with these cool springs going back and forth, back and forth. When I get to the very end, you might run out of paper a little bit. You might have time for one last little fold over. I'm gonna put, again, just a little dot of glue, and then I'm gonna pick this up finally and pinch it. Right now it looks very, very skinny, and I'm gonna count in my head for at least 20 seconds to make sure it's stuck together. So I can sing my ABC song, I can talk about how much I love art in my head, and say, oh my goodness, Mrs. Hops is the best art teacher I've ever had before in my life. La 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 la. I love Churchville. And then by the time I'm done, I can pull it apart and look at this cool spring. The 2 different colors kind of collide together and do whatever I want. The fun thing to do with this is I could put this in between something I've already made, so you can see it. I can stick it and glue it down on my sculpture and make another one. Maybe I want to make an arch of springs. I can do whatever I want. So I'm just going to start by putting a little dab of glue, and I want this one to kind of stick up off my sculpture a little bit. So I'm going to put the glue on there, I'm going to set it and forget it and work on something else. Another thing you can do, and you might want to cut your own strip for this, is to take one of your papers and just cut like a square out of it. So I'm just cutting like a little square. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just gonna fold it over and give it a good crease. I can also add just a line of glue along that open side. And I'm gonna cut now what I like to call poofy tops. So I'm gonna use my scissors and I'm gonna cut down and then stop when I get almost to the end. Thank you, Ms. Vasilier. And I'm gonna keep going all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And that is glued together. It kind of looks like a set of steps, but because it's folded over, I can actually open these up and check these guys out. When I poof them out all different kinds of ways, I can make some poof up, some poof to the side. I can loop this around to itself and it looks like a really cool crown of some kind. So I think I'm gonna do that and put just a dab of glue. And again, it's about that patience, holding it in my head and counting to myself. And look at how the pattern on the inside is different than the pattern on the outside. I could then take this and glue this cool poofy top to something. It kind of looks like a flower. Maybe I want to dip the edges in the glue, or I can put little dots of glue all around the edge, and I can stick this somewhere on my sculpture. And again, I have to press down and hold it, or I set it and forget it and move it to the side. You can use that same technique to make something else if you want, by again folding it over. But this time, instead of gluing the end shut, I'm gonna leave it open, kind of like a book. And I'm gonna cut from the open side this time. But I don't wanna go all the way down. I'm just gonna make fringes, kind of like the edges of a scarf. And then I can take these and rough these up. I could even fold these back and forth, kind of zigzaggy if I want to make a really cool something. I don't know what this could be. I have no idea. But you know what? I think I want to glue it to the side of this loop because it's kind of sticking up. So I'm going to put just a dot of glue.
Callahan is going to be a bus rider every day.
And I'm going to push this over like this. And check that out. It's glued to that
Thank you
side.
very much. We'll make that adjustment.
The more you add to your sculpture, the cooler it can look. Remember, you can also take strips that you made and you can do things to the strip, like cut them into an interesting zigzag or curve, and also do advanced techniques with those strips. So I can cut this over and I can use something round like a paintbrush or a pencil, and I can make like the letter T upside down. Fold my loop up over, and if I make it go straight, it's gonna make that perfect curve that Miss Q showed you, I think, in that last video. So I'm just gonna finger walk it up. So much fun. Give it a little pinch so it stays, and when I undo it, look at that awesome curl I just got. That's pretty cool. I can glue that somewhere on my sculpture. Maybe I can make a curl on top of a curl. So I just stuck that down on top of here. You can also use that, but instead of using a T, make almost like an upside down 7. And my goal this time is to try to cover my paintbrush or my pencil with as much of that paper as possible. If you have a hard time finger walking up, you can take it and pick it up and curl it around yourself. I think finger walking is a little bit easier because it keeps the paper on the table and then I don't wind up having a loose piece of paper. But you can do whatever you want with it. And then when I let this go, look at that, it makes a corkscrew. How cool is that little curl? The trick to this is to keep adding and adding and adding. Keep going as long as there is time until you take this one where you can still see a lot of the cardboard and you turn it into this one where it is full and you can barely tell that there's any cardboard left. So keep twirling, keep folding, keep looping, keep twisting, whatever you need to get it to look complete and full. Happy twisting.